So, go on.
What do you think about systems today? Are they becoming more robust or more fragile than before?
So the question is, what do I think about systems today? Are they becoming more robust or more fragile? I think it would depend on the level we're looking at. In the software that I'm working with, it's generally becoming more reliable, but partly because I think the underlying technology is becoming more reliable, and we're starting to rely on systems that are designed by relatively good quality engineers, such as the cloud services. You've got a relatively small number of developers at Amazon and Google and a bunch of other companies who are focusing on providing available and reliable services. But as we've seen, when Amazon had a failure in their subsystems, many people were housed in a single logical system and they lost the entire service. So that's a problem that comes because they haven't thought systemically about distributing the load into different logical containers. So I think it is improving, but I don't have conclusive evidence for that. Naresh? So just let me pause you. So you're saying that from a distribution or deployment perspective, we're doing pretty well as an industry. So I'll repeat the sort of statement and then the question. So the statement is that we've done well from a deployment perspective. From a feature development perspective, we're not doing as well, and we're not considering redundancy and resilience and all these factors. So how do we convince management that this is worth doing? Is that the question? All right, well, one of the challenges is to find ways to fit this into the working practices we have. So if we're using stories, a story tends to be sort of a simple sentence, the user can do blah. So it's a challenge then to be able to elaborate those examples in a way that management cares about. So perhaps it's using examples of other failures. There are enough failures in the industry to be able to go and say, this failed because they didn't do that type of thing, and convince the managers that way. Because I would think most managers tend to be on about a year-long bonus cycle, which means that their pay is affected by the last 12 months of what they did, but not the last 2 years or 5 years of what they did. So it has to be just something to fit into that time scale for them to care about it. I'm being blunt. I don't know how quickly managers change in companies in Sri Lanka, but in most IT companies they're there for a year or two and perhaps 5 years if they make it to VP. But they can normally bury the mistakes at that point and blame someone else. So we need to find a way to convince them of this, and I think part of it is the engineering disciplines. I'm not sure that people going through graduate training... Any more questions? All right, well, that's my email address, julianharty@gmail.com. I'm Julian Harty at Twitter and all the other things. I don't use Facebook, although I am on there, so if you pretend to be my friend, you're not my friend. I've never met you before today, and I hope to see you again, but I prefer you to get in touch with LinkedIn or Twitter or Gmail, and that'll be fine. I'm very happy to take questions on this. Naresh is the noisy one at the back. Do you want to wave your hand, Naresh? For those who hasn't met him already. So by all means, hassle Naresh as well on this topic. Hopefully, we'd like to find ways to encourage people to look at designing software that is more robust and more resilient. And my background includes running data centers for 11 years, so I've seen a little bit of doing this the hard way of how we design systems that work. Thank you very much, and I look forward to the keynote.